Thank you very much for joining today, Tina. I'm Damien. I'm a co-founder and currently serving as general manager in Social Hacks Academy. I'm very happy that we have 33 attendees at the moment, and I'm sure a few will be coming as the time progresses. We are in Greece after all. We are running a bit late in general. And Tina, thank you so much for joining us today. I see your LinkedIn, and it's just it inspires me or drives me to the cliff because I see your profile and I realize that I do very little in my life. So you are the founder and CEO of Mentesa.ai for anyone who wants to look at it. You are the initiator of the big and growing New York Festival. You are a speaker, an author, and many other things. Welcome to an SHA event. And today we're going to talk about the imposter syndrome.
Thanks for having me. I'm super happy to be here. I have suffered from imposter all my life. And every time people tell me, congratulate me about my career or about my LinkedIn profile, I'm exactly feeling imposter. And I'm thinking, what do they mean? What's special about this? I don't deserve this. I'm really happy we can talk about this. I think that a healthy relationship with our feelings and with imposter, among others, is a very good thing on the way of our personal development. So that's something that everyone should do, not just the social hackers, but everybody in our society.
Sure thing. Also, awesome. So before we go to the imposter syndrome, I would like to get to know you a bit more. So if you would like to share with us a few things about your background and how did you get to today? Anything you want to share, we'd love to hear.
Yes, I actually think that sharing my personal story is interesting for all the participants here because your organization is headquartered in Greece, and I originally come from Bulgaria, so it's a country close there, and we have a lot of differences, but also a lot of similar circumstances to fight with. For example, we have a language that not many people in Western Europe or in the main markets speak. We have a mentality that is quite different than what you would find in Germany or in the United States. We also not just have a special mentality, but we also have this hand gestures and all of the other things that are just difficult to digest for other people in Europe or in the world because it's a minority thing. I think it's great to be a minority. This means you're special. But until I personally realized this, there were a lot of years of suffering. So my story is, at the first glance, nothing special. So I grew up in Bulgaria. I was always interested in computers ever since I was a child. And I had a mom who brought a computer to me when I was 6 years old. And I think this is where my journey into the world of technology started. And I love sharing the story about this moment when she came back home with the computer, because it's a very interesting learning for me for everything that happens today in the workplace. So she came back at home one day. I was still, before first grade at school. And she called me to herself and she said, "Tina, sit down and listen carefully. I have to tell you something." And I was like, "Yes." And she said, you have to know, there are two types of people. There are builders and there are consumers. And she really paused, literally. She looked me in the eyes and she asked me, "Which type do you want to belong to?" And I was 6, so it was before I had thought about the purpose of life and my career and any of this, but I knew in this moment I wanted to be a builder. And I didn't want to be a consumer, and I just started building. I just took this computer. In the beginning, it was very, playing around. It was basically typing code for very simple games for today's environment into the computer because it didn't have a memory. So every time when you turn it off, everything is deleted.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's really a long time ago. And then the computers were developing. I was developing my skills. So in high school, I built the newspaper, with a drag and drop program called CorelDRAW, very simple to Photoshop or others that we know today. And then when I came back to Germany after high school to study computer science and graduated, I started my first startup and used technology, in the cloud. And I kind of grew up with this and observed its development. To come back to impostor and the story with my mom. So I used to be very, understanding myself as a builder. I used to be very outgoing, very extroverted. I engaged in Bulgaria in all kinds of activities. We were also a big family, so we were socializing a lot naturally. And I was like a very social, very outgoing, very extroverted person without imposter, I would say. And I just remember when I went to study in Germany in the LMU in Munich, so the big university is a very good university. And we were a very small class, like 35 people in computer science with my major. I just literally swallowed my tongue and I could not say a word for at least 2 years. It was partially, again, the language barrier, because I had studied language in high school, but it totally feels different when you're somewhere where there is no dictionary and everybody is really talking very fast. And I guess everyone can remember these feelings.
I can relate to that for sure, yeah.
Yes. And then secondly, everyone around me was so confident, so that they were therefore, that it was indisputable right for them to be there. And I didn't feel that I have the right to be there. I felt very lucky to be there. And this actually a good thing, like gratitude for being there, quickly transformed into insecurity, because I felt so lucky to have the opportunity to be in this beautiful city, to practice this language that interests me, to study those interesting things, to be among this small selected group of people, that I just, this feeling of being lucky translated into maybe it was just a chance. So maybe somebody else should have been lucky because I didn't deserve this in any way. So I transformed completely. I cut my hair. I stopped speaking to people. I hated every presentation that we had to do in school. Luckily, there were not so many, but once in a while we had to, and it was always such a pain.
Sorry, that's during university, right?
Yes, that's during university. So let's say between 18 and 23 years old. And every job interview, because I used to finance my studies on my own, and when you apply for a job as a student, you have to say some words about yourself. And on every job interview, I remember how I was saying that I am nothing special. So I'm like, just like everybody else, and just like going to movies and, spending time with friends. And only many years later, I realized that this is absolutely not true. Of course, I'm special. I speak Bulgarian. I know another culture. I bring the empathy for people who are not at home. And I have done so many other things just because I had this different view on things, just because being different, being a minority is such a gift until you realize it. It takes time, but it's just great. So I really had a problem with this. And what helped me were 3 things. So one of them was I just started to I was super focused working, and results started to come along the way. So with time, I was just had a little bit of experience to look back at and to say, oh, so this critique that is coming, or this feeling that is coming, when I look back at the results that I achieve, I actually have to disagree with this, even if it's an inner voice or a person that is criticizing me. And Of course, I have had a lot of critique. As a different person, I just approach tasks differently. I organize my daily life differently. I became a mom very early. So even for Bulgaria, it was early. So I was like 26 and I had a child and a family, and I was still very much invested in my work and job. But of course, this made my daily life differ from other 26 years old in Germany who were interested in other stuff naturally. So yeah. And I think that this is one of the things that really helped me, is the substance of, when I look back at things, can I agree or disagree with the inner voice and the critic, or even if it's a person that is criticizing me. So that was really helpful, because sometimes you just look back and you're like, okay, this is bullshit. I have totally the right to be here. I have studied so much and I have done so much. And actually, it was not luck that brought me here, but it was hard work, and I am here just as good as I should be. The second thing that really helped me with imposter was just to talk about this. So in the beginning of my time at university, I literally was trying to hide from people. So this is why I cut the hair so people don't look at me. And I started to wear clothes. I was in a class only with male students. So I just started to dress very maley, so with baggy pants, and computer scientists, how they dress t-shirt and baggy pants. So I started to wear a t-shirt and baggy pants, and just to liquefy with the environment. And I thought that, everybody knew that I am not deserving, not able, not, shouldn't be there. Until one day I had a classmate who said that from time to time, so he shared his imposter with me. And he said from time to time, he felt so lucky to be part of our group, our community at university, that he even thought he doesn't deserve it. And just hearing him say those words that I was thinking was so liberating and so empowering. And I had this light bulb going on when I realized, okay, I have to speak about this too. First of all, I will make so much joy for other people, because maybe they are also trapped in this. And by saying about my feelings, by sharing them, I will give them the permission to, just like I felt suddenly relieved, to feel welcome and normal and totally okay, no matter how they feel. And the second was, in this conversation with him, I just felt this, liberation myself. And I was like, wow, so actually it's not a big deal. Everybody probably is feeling some things of this. And the third thing is, it came a lot later. So I was already very much into my professional life. It was around the financial crisis when I realized that what my mother told me was not true anymore. So in this kind of economy that we have in the global connected world, I realized that there is no such things as builders and consumers. It was just people used to have this opportunity of checking out and saying, okay, I am not into politics, I am not into technology, I am not into arts or whatever, into our society. But today, with every click, with every like, with every purchase, with every comment, with everything that we do, because we are connected through the internet, we all design today and the future and the future of the future. So it's nothing like consumers anymore. Even consumers today are builders, because if they just shop meaninglessly shoes and return them back and forth through the entire country, they do have an impact on the sustainable development of countries on the other end of the globe. So it was like there was a series of events that led to this wow. But as soon as I realized it, I realized also that every person has their role to play in this environment. And this was when I realized that there is no such things as unimportant, irrelevant, undeserving, no such things as nothing like this exists. every person is here for a reason, and they are contributing to, they are leaving their impact on the world and the environment. So we just have to change the way how we feel about this, and we have to make it on purpose. So that is not just, I'm having an impact, but I'm not thinking about this, and I don't know what it is, but I'm just, flip it and do it on purpose. And that was the most liberating.
Allow me to stop you here. I already have so many questions. My God, I think we would probably need like 5 hours to go through just the questions I have for now. But I would like to just also, for some context for our attendees today, how would you define imposter syndrome? Like, do you have like some term, or how do you feel? What does the term imposter syndrome means to you?
There are many different definitions. We recently published a blog article on this, so you can read it on our website and see the definition that we put there. But for me, the shortest definition of imposter is the belief that you don't deserve to be where you are. So the belief that you are not belonging. And this is where it becomes interesting, and this is why imposter is typically connected with minority groups, be it like women in the workplace, or immigrants in a country, or other underrepresented groups of people in the tech startup scene. No matter, it's always this belief, perceived feeling. This is a belief, perceived feeling that you don't belong, that you don't deserve to belong.
Depending on the group, let's say the social group, do you think there are different types of imposter syndromes, or is it similar? Like we all have a similar way to express this imposter syndrome?
Okay, so I am not a researcher who has studied imposter like this. I just read a lot about the future of work and how people are included in the workplace is a huge topic, not just since the pandemic, but for the past 20 years since we digitized our economy. So I do believe that there is no difference, but I am not a researcher. So my observation is every time when I talk about this topic is that everybody has it. In fact, it's mostly quoted for female founders or women in leadership or anything else, but studies show that men have imposter just as women do. So it's just, I think, the most natural thing to feel, because we as human beings are defined by similar needs. Maybe you have heard about the Maslow's pyramid, but it says that it's a theory that people, a sociological theory, that people have hierarchy of needs. So at the lowest level of our hierarchy is that we feel safe, that we have enough to eat, that we feel that the people who belong to us and our family are safe. And this is why there are studies from developing countries where people really don't have this very basic need, but when it is met, studies show that they have a very high happiness level in the country. So Bhutan is one country that has, I think, the highest level of happiness of the population, and it's one of the very, very poor countries. Why? People feel safe, so this need is met, and then they are, okay, everything is okay. As soon as we have this level of needs met, we are looking forward. So, and the next thing we want is to belong. So we want to belong to a group of people. And this is why I believe imposter, like the feeling that I don't have the right to belong or that I don't belong, is just a very, very natural thing, and that it does not differ depending on the groups of people. It just is who we are as people.
Yeah, I can definitely share that I have my fair share of imposter syndrome. I also studied computer science in England, but I realized that programming is not for me. And about 13 years after that, I co-founded a coding school. So I definitely felt that, like, who am I? But, we all have our value. We all know what we know. And yeah, my motto is like, do your best. This is what I say to the team, like pretty much every day. Wake up, do your best. And if you do your best, go to sleep happy and repeat, hopefully next day.
Yes, but what else is there to do? The only moment that we own is now, and we cannot change the circumstances that we are in. Everybody should believe this until now. So there is a pandemic, sometimes there is a war, sometimes there is a financial crisis. So we can really only have the ability to do our best, if you want to put it like this, today. And I think that the biggest careers, so the biggest role models that we have as society in all the different areas, not just tech startups, but also arts or politics or, activists. If you read the biographies of those people, and this is something I started doing, 6-7 years ago when I was a lot working on myself and my confidence, I just started reading biographies of role models of mine. And if you read the ones that really have had a lasting impact on who we are as a society and how we live and how we work together, you will find out that they were not focused on the final goal. They were not focused on their personal goal. They were just completely surrendered to their mission and just taking it day by day and doing their best, if you want to put it that way. Of course, there is a plan, there is a mission, but you surrender to the opportunity that this plan will most probably not go into fulfillment just exactly as you plan it, that there will be a lot of difficulties on the way, and the best and the only thing you can do is to just be present in the moment and give your best. And that was true for Martin Luther King. That was true for, Marie Curie. That was true for any of the big names that any of us truly finds inspiring.
That's really good. That's really, just surrender. I feel that that's the best way and possibly the only way to just go for it. If you have found your mission, whatever that mission is, and it's okay to change, if you have to, but it's so, at least for me, it has been such a fulfilling experience.
Yeah.
That I have surrendered into this. And you figure it out every day. Nobody was born a founder. Nobody was born a programmer in our case. We all just started somewhere, and we pretty much all faced similar difficulties. We are not, I feel that as humanity, we are not as unique as we think we are. We are special, we are unique, but we pretty much all face similar challenges, like the imposter syndrome.
Like the imposter syndrome. So there are challenges that unite us in our humanity, like the imposter syndrome. And there are other challenges that divide us. For example, challenges that underprivileged people face that privileged people never have. So being doubted in the first meeting, or that you have to first prove yourself before you're trusted, or that you are disadvantaged in some things. So there are challenges that we share, and others that are very specific to our personal lives. And I think this is why just it's not fair is not the solution to this, because everybody has both. So the ones that we all share and the ones that are special to every person. So the only thing is really to make the best of your situation right now. There is this saying from Kafka that says, the path is made by walking. And I really love this, because every career, no matter how big it has been, has started somewhere with some action. So Elon Musk has had his first day coding. Steve Jobs has had his first day coding. Bill Gates has had his first day coding. Tina has had her first day coding. There is no programmer, and that's the truth, that has started coding without the first day of coding and the second one and the third one. And yes, we learn differently, slow and fast, but every career, every road begins with a step. And this surrendering to the journey is really key, because it's not about I am not running this strategically or I don't have wishes or dreams, but it is about surrendering to the unplanned things that may happen. And I am still sticking to my journey.
That's awesome. You mentioned before, it caught my attention, talking about healthy relationships. In let's say romantic relationships, how do you think the imposter syndrome appears over there? And if you would like to offer us some suggestions on how to tackle or how to talk to ourselves, or
yes,
I don't know.
Sure, I would love to. So, romantic relationships, I haven't thought about this, but I have a friend who has been always single. So she has just had a few friends from time to time, but never could manage to be in a lasting relationship. And I have noticed that she was always into YouTube videos, and she was always Googling tips for how to date. And a lot of those tips and videos, when I watched them with her, I was like, oh my goodness, but those videos are telling you how to be. But in order to create a relationship, you have to raise your hand and give it to the other person, a real hand. So he needs to see who you really are. So if you're any of those videos, really good videos, I mean, it's a good thing to help people date. It's a good thing to help people find a job too, like date for work or to do whatever it is. But you have to always be yourself, because without a real personality, even if it is a scared personality right now, or just a still developing personality, or whatever it is, without a real thing, without the truth, there is no connection. So we people have, I think this is a magic compass in our inside that helps us immediately, very quickly differentiate between the truth and some fake things. Not on social media, but in person with other people, we immediately sense if a person is their true self or they're playing some role. And we don't like the latter. So we don't like people who are playing. So no matter how well meant those videos are, I think one of the reasons that she really struggles to find a relationship is that she always tries to be somebody because of this fear that she does not deserve to be with other people the way she is. So maybe that's it, but I'm not an expert on romantic dating. I've been married for 15 years. I haven't dated a lot. I am super busy with startups. Maybe there are better suggestions around this. What I would take away from our professional development, however, is job interviews and also any work situation. It can be just a normal work meeting with colleagues, or just after we have been hired, the first meeting with the team during onboarding. All of those are opportunities to create connection, and we can only create connection with a real hand of a real person. Nothing fake sticks, and it only is lost time. I do believe that imposter is a fact. It's felt by everybody. Let's talk about it openly, but still let's take the courage and say, okay, no matter how much fear I have or how much I hesitate in my skills or my ability to do the job or to the right to be here, I will be it. I will just be here, and I will be myself and not just another person. And that would save our economy and our society so much pain afterwards, because all the bad things, all the, the wars and all the company failures are mostly driven by this, okay, I want to be somewhere else and I am not true to my own self.
Thank you very much for sharing all your thoughts. I'm grateful about that. Similar thing to me when I was also really excited when I realized that other people have this, what I now call imposter syndrome, which back then I thought of low self-esteem or something like that. And I realized, okay, if everybody has it, okay, let's go with it. We all have our doubts. Nobody's perfect. Not even Elon Musk or Steve Jobs or all these people that we somehow admire one way or the other. So yeah, just be the best version of yourself that day and try to become a better version for tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's I think I sorry to interrupt you, but that's really the critical thing. To be you the way you are better tomorrow, not to be better on social media for somebody else or better than the others. And this is actually how professional athletes train. So they never compare their results with others when they're preparing for the Olympics. They only compare their results with their results the last day. That I learned from Olympics winner who shared with me his plans and explained to me how mental fitness, mental strength and resilience is coached to sportsmen. So they never compare to others. The only moment when they are compared to others is in the competition, and the whole preparation to the competition, they just compare with themselves. And that's the critical thing.
Yeah, and at the end, especially in the social media age, you really, really don't know what's happening. Your friend, your whatever ex-colleague might be in the most terrific place in the world, but you never know what's in their head, what are their feelings, are they connected to their emotions, are they happy, are they, you don't know. So let's just try to be happy with what we have, be grateful, whatever it is, and just live another day and keep going.
Absolutely. And this is why I wrote the blog article, or we published it last week, because finally there are researchers who are studying imposter. And I read a research in Harvard Business Review from Basima Tevfik. She's an assistant professor at the MIT Sloan University in the United States. And she has decided to study imposter and to find out if the beliefs that we have around this are true. So first result that she had was that imposter does not have any effect on performance. And I think this is such a good news, because it means that even if we have the belief that we don't deserve or don't believe, it will not affect our performance. So even if we feel bad on the inside, we will still be able to deliver the presentation, to make the interview, to do the project right, to make this collaboration. So that we feel imposter on the inside does not need to have a negative impact on performance. And I find this is a great result. So she compared two groups of people with imposter and without imposter, and their results in a study project. So those were students at MIT, and there was absolutely no difference between their results. So this shows that imposter does not influence performance. And then she went, yes.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Yes. And I think it's also interesting for our today's society, because we are super optimizing. So we have this toxic productivity habits, and we try to be best and better in everything that we do all the time, in all areas. So in sports, in family, in, work, in all areas. And there is this enormous pressure from social media that we all have to be traveling places and doing great stuff and eating great food. But this only results into us feeling bad. And I think it's very liberating to know that if we feel bad about, not having those things or not deserving them when we do, does not affect our performance. I think this is a permission to just ignore those feelings more often and to say, shut up, inner voice, I'm here for a reason and I will rock this. And every now and then it will not be true, but most of the times it will work. So, yeah.
And let me add to what you just said, that if you tell yourself that you're going to rock today, maybe you will do it. You have advanced, like when you talk to yourself in a positive way, you get much more chances. At least to my observation, I cannot have facts. I don't have facts behind it, but in my observation, it's like when you say something positive, there are more chances for you to actually achieve it than being negative about.
Yes. So positive confirmation, it is called, is when you say to yourself good things. And it's practice that helps you develop gratitude as, part of developing empathy for others, self-care and, care for others, all depend on this, okay, I am okay, I'm good enough, everybody is good enough. And by giving myself permission to be here, I'm also giving permission to the others. And this is a very great thing to do just once a day, especially if you struggle with some topics, to say something nice to yourself. You can say it in front of the mirror, you can write it in a diary, but what is important here is this continuity, that you just take time to say, good job today, or it will be a good day. Maybe it's in the morning and you still don't have results and you just say, okay, I am capable, I am deserving. Positive confirmation, it's called. And what is a part of a positive confirmation is also, maybe you have heard about this winner pose. So the winner pose is scientifically proven. There is a great TED talk on the winner pose. You can Google and find it. The winner pose is scientifically proven to increase the self-esteem and happiness, and also performance as a result of this. Also, a third tip is just smiling, also scientifically proven. Smiling for 1 minute, even if you're not happy, just keeping the smile on, makes your body feel like you are happy, and you release those hormones that boost also your adrenaline, so you are better prepared to do an important job. So what is a great tip is, before a job interview or something important that you need to give your best and you struggle with imposter, you go to the bathroom, you do the winner pose, you smile for 1 minute, and you say something nice to yourself, and then surrender to the results. Sometimes it will be better than other days, but it will be what it is.
And I have a similar, I don't do this pose, but before events, before talks, before like significant things that I have to perform, or at least this is what I've been told, I have this thing that I jump up and down 3 times. So I've built this thing that I jump 3 times up and down, and I smile, and I'm very positive during the time, and that's my body now and brain has aligned that when this happens, great results are coming afterwards. So, you can find your own if this is not for you, but I agree on the mentality. So I want to say, talking about jobs, I would like to make a question on behalf of our students. So one of the biggest challenges our new graduates have is they have total imposter syndrome, and they don't feel they're worth it. They don't feel they're worth getting a job. So our program lasts for 7 months. They go through a lot of hardship, and at the end, they have the skills to get a job, or at least most of them. And we have around 90% success rate. So we have data that over and over and over, we have placed over 100 people into jobs. So that proves that our program works, right? So there should not be any imposter syndrome. We went the thing that to me didn't make sense. I consider it a bit out there. There was a female student who got a job offer from a significant startup here in Greece, and she declined the job offer because she thought she was not good enough.
Mhm.
So if the head of HR of this prominent big startup believes that you are good enough, like what would you say
Mhm.
to that person? How should they approach this initial interviews? Because most of our students are young or at least first time in the tech industry. What would you say to that person?
Yes. So the first thing I believe where all starts is to recognize the feeling. So first I would recognize, okay, I am having imposter now. So every time when you stop and you hear those voices, okay, I can do this, and what was I thinking? And they will totally find out that I'm a fraud and I can do this. They will fire me, and all those talk. The first thing is to recognize them. Learning to recognize such negative beliefs and thoughts is a lot of work. It's connected with mindfulness practice. You can practice it by observing your breathing, and I'm sure you have a lot of tips on stuff like this too, so I don't want to pretend to be an expert because I'm not. But the first thing is you recognize it. You recognize, okay, I am now looking at this job offer and boom, I have an imposter. So first we recognize. And the second thing is to remember that having an imposter is not influencing your performance. And that's like a first relief. So the panic attack should be over. And that's the reason why we wrote this article. There are even not just not no disadvantages of imposter, but actually there are advantages, benefits of imposter syndrome. And we studied the research of Professor Tefik from MIT Sloan, and she was comparing situations with imposter in many different setups. So one of them was, for example, she compared doctors, medical doctors, with imposter and such without, and their evaluations by patients. And she found out that the medical doctors with imposter were getting higher evaluations from the patients. Why? Because they had higher empathy. So when you have imposter, you care about how people see you, how people think about you. So you're more prone to listening to others. You're more engaged with how others feel. So this is increased empathy. And she found out that for this reason, medical doctors with imposter having a higher empathy for their patients were submitting sensitive information more gently, and they were also taking more time for the patients, and they were therefore evaluated better by the patient. So it's like real life. This is real performance. If there would be doctors on a medical website with evaluations, with rankings, the doctor with imposter would get higher rankings because he would take more time for the patients and would be talking to them more sensitively, of higher empathy. So that's like the one benefit. And I think recognizing, neutralizing, right, it doesn't have an impact on performance. And then maybe even this boost of the benefits is a good way to be thinking about this. When you have a job offer you feel unworthy for. There are other benefits. I will come to talk to them, but now an important thing. And I think somebody in the chat also asked about this. So we are changing our personality depending on different situations. This is totally normal. Actually, it is a sign of a very high emotional intelligence if you can adjust your behavior to the situation. So this is also what is requested from leaders in companies. They should not just be arrogant or listening or fast or slow or whatever. They have to be all of this. It's like a keyboard on a piano, and the better developed your personality is, the better you are playing a larger portion of this piano. So for example, children, they're always one key. They're either always this or that. And when we are developing with the years, with experience, with a lot of work on ourselves, we can develop the ability to be everybody. And here is the interesting differentiator. You should not accept a job just because imposter is not influencing your performance and even has benefits. You should accept a job if the job is important for you. And you should not accept a job if you have a bad feeling in your stomach that something is not wrong with the company, something is not wrong, something is wrong with the contract, something is wrong with, there is something smelly here. And I think the way we can differentiate between two, so how we are adjusting naturally to a situation, and if we are trying to force ourselves into a situation, is how painful the process is. Because the process of doing something that we believe we're not worthy, but that is important for us and we're excited, even if we're scared, is not painful. It feels differently in your body. You can differentiate. So in a situation where you really are scared, take a moment to notice where you feel the scared thing. I always feel it in my stomach. Maybe you feel it in your back or whatever. And you can feel situations when you are excited, but afraid that something might go wrong. And that's imposter. And you can see, okay, where do I feel this? And I feel it in my breast chest. Other people feel it in their arms or in their feet. That's different for everybody. But you can learn to notice those body signals as a first thing. And the second thing is, I always ask myself 3 questions. So when I'm starting to do something, I always ask, what's the worst thing that can happen? What's the best thing that can happen? And the most important question comes at last is, what's important? And at any new job offer or any new professional project, I would be like, what's the worst thing that can happen? If it is terrible that I might get fired or I might get, I would think a lot about this because we want to handle the risk. But if it's just, okay, I'm fired and then I find another job, then it's fine. What's the best thing that can happen? We differentiate between handling risk. So for some people, having a really big opportunity is enough to neglect all the risk, and that's okay. This is how they are. For others, a little bit of risk already is too risky, and that's okay too. But the most important question is what's important. So if you want to become a, let's say, developer, if this is what's truly important for you, and it's not just finding a job and not just having a salary, but really you want to be an expert in something, so then you should seek every opportunity to become this expert and really surrender yourself to this journey. Think about all the people that had their first day coding someday and first day in a job without knowing how to really do it, and just surrender to this and give your best. And that's, I think, the second benefit of imposter. It really shows that people who do not feel worthy of a task or believe that they do not deserve to be where they are, they prepare more. So they just do extra work. So they are, for example, you are supposed to give a big presentation at the management board and you're like, what, me? I cannot go there. I will go crazy. Blah, blah, blah. And these doubts, they breed creativity and they breed, diligence. So people like this, the research of this professor from MIT Sloan shows prepare better, and therefore they even can have a higher performance as a result. And that's what I would do. What's the worst thing? What's the best thing? Can I handle them? And what's important? And if for me it's important to become this expert or make a career or go abroad or study or learn a language or whatever it is, then I have to find the courage in myself to study and prepare. And this is the benefit of imposter. The way I feel about this will push me to give more, and I will have a better result as a result. That's great, isn't it? So it's like
it's really great, and your passion about this conversation and this concept really fascinates me. And I'm really grateful for everything you are sharing. I need to be managing the time a bit. So if you don't mind, I would like to jump to some questions of our attendees today. So Dimitar asks, can you recognize imposter syndrome in others and help them?
That's such a good question. As a woman, I have learned to observe other women. There is a particular moment that I remember. We were winning a big award for our startups, me and a fellow female founder. And I took my award, I went down the stage and I sat down and watched her. And she was, I'm sorry, I cannot show it to you, but she was grabbing her dress and pulling it down. So it's like she was, okay, I don't want to be here. I don't want people to see my legs. I am not deserving to get this. So that's like gestures like this where people feel uncomfortable might be a signal for imposter, but you cannot just, it's a feeling and you cannot just say, okay, every time a person is uncomfortable, it's imposter. Maybe they just don't like you, or maybe they have some problem on their mind. So I would say, generally, there are things that can be a good hint about this, but nowadays, in such a diverse environment that we live in, I am not assuming anything anymore. So assuming, I don't know if you know the word is assuming. When I assume, I make an ass of you and me. That's a really great way to remember it. So I don't assume. And if I have a hinge of, the feeling that somebody is feeling uncomfortable, I would just approach them and say, are you feeling well? Is there anything I can do for you? I often say to many people I talk to, don't worry, let's, settle, breathe. So stuff like this. And I think that's already, a good start. Why bother how others feel? I mean, we have to bother to do our good job. We have to bother to not make people uncomfortable. But everybody, at the end of the day, has the right to feel the way they feel. We can neither take away their happiness or sadness or uncomfortability. The thing that we control is who we are, what we do with them.
Awesome. So Mila mentions, hi, Tina and Damian. This is such a great discussion. I started working at the age of 16, and yes, growth is coming from the desire. I totally agree. Thank you also to your colleague making these comments. It's really nice. And Farhad, if anyone wants to see Farhad's, this is more like a comment. You are the reason, you are the exact reason we do what we do here in Social Hackers Academy. And I'm very thankful that you are here and that you are trying to become a full stack developer and become a professional in that. Thank you very much for making this comment on behalf of all of us here in SHA. Thank you. So we have Katerina Ekonom. There is a very long comment, which I'm leaving for last. Katerina is asking, is perfectionism somehow correlated with imposter syndrome?
Mm-hmm. I don't think so. Again, I'm not Professor Teflik, but maybe you can, all the American professors have their email address on the website of the university, really. So you can send the question if you like. That's also a tip, and it helps overcome imposter if you ask questions, because you just, first of all, you learn how to ask better questions. Secondly, from time to time, people answer and you learn, that thing is working. So I am worthy of getting a reply. But to come back to the question, I don't think so, because imposter really is the belief that others overestimate us, that others see us more than we are. And we believe we are not there yet. So it doesn't have a lot with perfectionism. Perfectionism is a different struggle, I believe. And it might be connected, but what's the valuable thing for you in knowing about this or not? I think what's most important is that you know how you feel in this situation and recognize negative things that you say to yourself, because honestly, the entire world is constantly saying negative things to all of us. First of all, it starts with the climate change. So the entire world is saying to the entire other world that we are all gonna die. Then it goes down to the society, like the rich people say the poor people that they don't matter. And then it is between countries too. So the one country doesn't, neglects the other country. And then it's in the family where there is a hierarchy. So we are constantly in some hierarchies of people telling us bad things and, reality that strikes us with unexpected things. So we should be the last person saying to ourselves negative things. And it shouldn't be about imposter or perfectionism. It should be about what am I telling to myself right now. That's, I think, the tool that we have. We don't have the tool to always know the exact phenomenons where we are as non-psychologists, but we have the tool to say, okay, what I am doing to myself right now, does this help me or does this hinder me? And that's all I need to know.
That's fantastic. Tina, I have to be respectful of your time. I kept two quotes. You gave us so much information today, and I think in one way or one time in the other, we all have the imposter syndrome. Maybe it was more dominant like a few years back, but we all have that and we all share that. And that is great. I think it's great to be having these conversations in order to carry on and live in the community. I see you're tackling the big question there. I don't think we have time for that. To me, I keep two quotes from today. First, from what you said, opportunities, like take opportunities to create connection. Reach out as you did with the hand. Reach out, take this opportunity in the metro, maybe, or in your office, or in the community you work with. But the main quote for me today is surrender to the journey and give your best. This really puts everything that we discussed today into one actionable task. So yeah, the floor is yours. Before we end this event, what would you like to share with us about maybe your company, Mentesa, or yourself? Maybe info for people to follow you somewhere on social. The floor is yours.
Well, I would just like to wish you all a lot of luck for your development. Luck is always part of it. And I believe that the surrendering aspect is really what changed the game for me. So there are tons of really funny quotes about, life and life in general. And I think it's a fact that all of us are here temporarily. All of us are going to go sometime. Nobody of us really controls the time and place where we are going to leave our journeys. And that's why, for me personally, just being here, present in every moment, like right now with you, or later on when I'm with my kids, or during the day when I'm working, just to be where I am and surrender is really not just making me more resilient, but also I think is making everything a lot more fun. Because if you look at it pessimistically, the end of the journey is there for everybody, and we could be just, swallowing and waiting for it to come, or we can just say, no, I'm making the best out of my time. And that's what I want to wish you, because sometimes we're lucky, other times we're not, but we always control our reaction to the circumstances, and that requires strength, but also the humility to just surrender. And that's what I want to wish you. Other than this, we are hiring for many positions, also in hybrid. If you want to, you can check our job offers on mentessa.com/jobs. I'm super happy if you connect with me on LinkedIn, if you give me feedback, or if you write to us with anything else. We are trying to be there for everybody. Sometimes it takes longer. But other than this, I'm really grateful for the opportunity to meet you and to connect with as many as possible from you.
Thank you very much for your time today. Together we can do anything. That's all I have to say, which is one of our mottos. Thank you all for joining us today, for staying for this hour, and to the people who are going to watch it later on YouTube. Thank you very much all for your time. Take care.
Bye, Damien. It was a pleasure to meet you too. Bye, everyone. Ciao.